Alright, so here's the final video. What I'm gonna do now is, let's just minimize this. Let's see. Okay, if I play it back and by pressing the playback button or alternate V, I can see that I have an animation. It's not looking superb yet. It's kind of working, not too bad. Tapi I know that I can still improve it by going into the graph editor and messing around with the curves of the graph. So I'm gonna do that. So let's just stop that. So I will open up the graph editor. How do we get the graph editor? Again, we go to Windows, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. So I'll just make it a bit smaller. Maybe I can close this guy. Alright, what do you see in the graph editor? Nothing, right? But you have this cartoon character set with all of the attributes here for all of the controls. If you don't see anything, you can press A and still there's nothing. So you have to select the character set and press A. Only then you'll see that okay, that's where my keys are. And if you don't see the pink tangents, remember we can go to View, Tangents, and we can make it show all the time by choosing Always. By default, it is never shown, so you see all these colors on the graph. So I'm gonna leave it as it is for now. I can see a couple of things. I can see that there are up and down in the graphs here. So what I can do is I can select the graph one by one. So I select the red one here. That corresponds to the main control rotate X. Select this one here, that's the main control translate Z. Select this green one here, main control translate Y. What else? If I zoom in a bit by holding control alternate and drag, I can see that this is another graph. So I select that. It's the upper control translate Y. And is there any other stuff I'm missing? No, I think that's pretty much it. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 graphs that we need to play around with. If you notice the rest, if I can select it properly, I'm not sure which one is it. Is this one? Tell you what, let's just do this. It's this ones here. If you notice this ones, and I'm going to select it now. Except for this one, which is which is the Y of something. Maybe this guy. No. Oh, it's that one. Okay. So all these attributes here, they're all straight lines. That means we don't need to clean them up at all. Okay. So we just need to bother with the ones that are moving up and down. Alright, so I'm gonna do the first one. Let's just pick one. Say it's this one here, which is actually the main control rotates. Tell you what, I don't want to do that. I want to do the up and down first. I'm gonna do the translate Y first. So let's just select that, and so that we can isolate it. So looking at it now, so you have to open up the graph and look at the animation while you're doing this. But we kind of know for a fact that with this graph we want it to be like a bit curvy at the top and coming down just like a normal bouncing ball. It should curve that way, and then curve this way, curve, and then do the same curve. So I can very quickly select the green part and say make everyone flat, make all the tangents flat. So now it's going to be flat, but can you see that it's hard to know if there's no tangents? So what I will do, I go to View, Tangents, make sure it's shown all the time. Oh, by the way, by default it's not tangents, never, it's on active keys. What that means is, if you don't select a key, you can't see the tangents. If we select the keys, the tangents will show up. So I want it to be shown always. Okay, there you go. So selecting the green part, you select all the keys, select click flat tangents, you get a flat tangent. we want it to be flat at the most extremes. That means here, 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 and here. Means that all the peaks and all the bottoms should be flat. That means all the ones in between here, we can make it spline. So this is what we want. So spline. So now we're starting to get something. It's starting to look curvy. Remember, the idea with messing around with the tangents is to change the look of the graph. If I can change it to never, you see that this is what I'm trying to get. But I can still do more with it and tweak it as I go along. So let's look at the animation now. You can't tell, but it's actually moving much more smoother than before. Before it was linear. You can give it a try and change it back to linear and see how. So that's pretty good for now. But I know, like I say, I can still tweak it. So I'm going to do just that. Right, so with this one, I say I select the tangents, I press W, and I'll middle mouse button and change the shape of it. This one, maybe this one can be like that. Maybe this part I say, oh, okay, let's just extend it a bit. So I'm going to select the green part and right mouse button, I'll free the tangent weight so I have more control with it. So that way I can do perhaps, you know, lengthen the tangents a bit. Select that, press F, and probably make this a bit further apart. And maybe this one too, I'll just extend it a bit so there's more ease at the top. Maybe that one needs to be like that a bit. This one here, I know I can tweak it like that, so I get a much more curvy thing going on. Select that, press F, and I can still tweak this perhaps, doing that. It's like that. Okay, maybe this is shooting too much, so I right mouse button and break it. Now it's turning blue like before in the lab assignment one. Bring it down just a bit. Cool. This one? Yeah, I can do that and make it much more curvier down there. Select that one, press F. Let's see what I can do with this. Maybe I will move it. So make sure you are in move mode. Means that that is activated. W is activated. Only then you can select a tangent and middle mouse button and move the tangents around. Okay, I will say this is almost okay. That's not looking right. If you notice here, I can certainly move it that way and select this guy and give it a bit more of an ease at the top, so it's much more curvy up there. Alright, let's have a look at it. So the ups and downs are kind of working for me now. Next, let's just move on and do the next one. Oh, it's already 9:49. Let me just do this very quickly. This one, do I need to really tweak it? Yeah, and I will say, because I've been doing this a lot, I say, you know, this one, keep it flat, or maybe let's make everyone flat for now. But the extreme, this would be the extreme, so this one should be spline. And certainly I can tweak this if I wanted to. Maybe this part as well, and I'll say free tangent weights, extend that a bit. Now, how do you decide what should you do with the curve? Well, you need to kind of tweak things and see whether it's giving you what you want. So the in-betweens here, I know that coming out of this pose, and you have to see where you are. So we're at here, means that as it goes forward, you want it to span a bit longer there. So if you tweak the graph and push it there, it will actually go there a bit more. Means that it will stay you know, here a bit more rather than go forward too much too quickly. So select that, and I will do that. Let it gradually do that. Go into that shape. So what's happening here? Well, this is where we reach the top. See? So at the top, you want it to span a bit longer up there. So that's why the graph is looking like that. And technically, I could make it flat. so it will stay there longer. Extend this a bit, maybe extend that as well. Do that perhaps, extend it just a bit, extend this one a bit more, and maybe make it move that way. So here in this part, in terms of the Z position, we want it to stay there a bit longer before it goes forward. And this is not actually correct. See, it's sticking there. So you never want it to stick. So that's not good. So perhaps I shouldn't have make it flat. I should have make it spline. So it's a continuous thing. But maybe, you know, not too continuous. So we're going to fix this again and make it like that perhaps. So it's always flowing. Now let's just analyze it. Now it's moving. It's moving ever so slightly, even in small increments. But it is still moving. See? So that's what the graph is actually doing. So I can continue and fix this. And we'll see what we get by the end of it. Alright. I'm going to say that's good enough for now. I'm not going to spend too long there. It's kind of working okay in terms of the main controls. The final part, well, of course I need to do the rotates. That needs to be fixed. But what's more important as well is this one, the green graph here, which is the translates. And if you play it now, not too bad. If I very quickly select the upper control, go to the translates, and very quickly make it flat, make the ones in between spline, that needs to be fixed, it's shooting over there, and make this spline, this one is shooting over as well, means that it's going, it was there, so you don't want it to go deep down and go up, you want it to gradually move from here to there. Okay, as it is, if you play back the animation, we're getting a much nicer squash and stretch here. That needs to be fixed, it's sticking there a bit, so that must be the main controls. But in terms of the squash and stretch, it's looking nice as well. So I'm gonna end the video here, and probably continue this in another one, and I'll really polish the animation and get it work until the end. Alright, thank you.